No idea.
Chuck, can we mute all?
I'll mute you guys too if I do that. I'm just going through. You guys all have all the permissions. You can start muting people.
Okay. I think you've got everybody.
Did I get everyone? Yep. Okay.
I'm going to unmute the conservation members, if that's all right.
Did you mute all?
I did not, but Brian is muted.
Yeah.
John, Joe.
I'm just Zoom etiquette here, where if my mouth's shut, I mute. But that's
Conservation.
We have one in the waiting room, by the way. But yeah.
Conservation members can mute themselves and unmute themselves.
Ah, there it goes.
Okay. Then shout. So we've got a quorum. So
Okay.
let's get. So welcome everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the August 11 Conservation Commission meeting. Chuck, do you have an introductory script?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me start with that right now. Hello, everyone. This is Chuck Tironi of the Reading Conservation Commission. Consistent with the governor's orders and suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and allowing us to adhere to social distancing requirements during the COVID-19 crisis, this Town of Reading Conservation Commission is meeting. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom for audio and video participation of the Conservation Commissioners, applicants, and their representatives and the public. During this meeting, myself or the chair will unmute applicants, representatives, and members of the public individually as needed. During the conservation meeting, the chair will be the only one permitted to share the videos. These controls are in place to ensure tonight's meeting is safe and effective. At this time, Chair Scanlon will conduct a roll call vote to confirm that members are here, present, and can hear her.
Can you start the recording, Chuck?
Sure. I usually start it after this.
Okay.
Okay.
But-
as we've done before, this is the order of comments and roll call.
Recording in progress.
So please remember this order. Starting with Martha.
Martha Moore, Vice Chair.
Thank you, John.
John Sullivan, member.
Okay, Brian.
Brian Bowe, member.
Thanks, and Joe.
Joe Carnahan, member.
Okay, and Anika Scanlon, Chair, present and ready to go.
Thank you, everyone. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Also, be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by this recording. All the material for this meeting is available on the Conservation Division page, and I recommend that the commission members and the public follow the agenda as posted on the Town of Reading's website, unless otherwise noted. However, because this meeting is being conducted remotely, I advise applicants in particular that the commission cannot discuss or consider documents which they are not previously posted. Information may, however, be presented orally. Members of the public are encouraged to provide written public comment, but should understand that not all participants nor all commissioners will be able to see any written comments during this meeting. Before we get started on tonight's agenda, I'm going to cover some ground rules for effective, clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair or the administrator yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. After the commissioners make their remarks, please, and these have been addressed by the applicant, the chair or the administrator will afford the public as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify themselves by name, Once the chair has a list of the public commentators, the chair will call on each one by name and afford them 4 minutes for any comment. The applicant may be requested to respond by the chair or the administrator. After public comment, the chair will once again go down the line of commissioners, inviting each one by name to provide any further comment, question, or motion. Please hold off until your name is called. Finally, each vote taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. That's all I have, Chair Scanlon.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. Okay, first order of business on the agenda is 1310 Main Street. I understand from you, Chuck, that this has been continued to the next meeting, August
Yes.
25. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about it?
No, I think if it's been continued, we should just take a vote to continue it and leave it at that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue.
Motion to continue the public hearing on 1310 Main Street to our next meeting on August 25th.
Okay, do I hear a
Second.
second? Okay, is there any discussion from conservation members? No discussion, let's go to a vote.
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor.
Joe Kernahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. This passes, it got moved to the August 25th meeting. Is there another order of business, Chuck, that we can take care of before the next hearing?
I could pull up the meeting minutes, or we could decide who's going to go to the next DPW meeting. And under old and new business, you also have 10 Plymouth Road, but I think that we had some questions about the planting plan. So that might not be a good one to get into.
Okay, well, let's do the minutes. I've looked at the minutes. I don't have any comments. I'm going to invite conservation members. I'm not going to go through roll call on this, but I'm going to invite conservation commission members. to speak.
I think I have the minutes up. If people want to just review them for
No.
one last time.
No, you don't have them showing yet. It was churning.
Okay,
But
let's try now.
So
That's
these are the
better.
minutes from June 23. I
I
believe.
read over them and I have one concern. It says that under old new business, that we did a site visit, or we planned a site visit for Thursday, June 22nd. Keep going down. There we go. The first thing under old new business, Thursday, June 22nd. June 22nd is a Tuesday, and these minutes were for the 23rd. So I think that might be Thursday, June 24th, but I couldn't find it on my calendar. I don't think I went to that site visit. Or if I did, it wasn't on the 22nd or the 24th. So we need to correct that date.
Okay.
1 second, let me
So-
check my email. I do remember
Yeah.
getting an email about a site visit that I wasn't able to attend, but I should have the email. 1 sec.
And I was out on the 24th.
I have no record of a site visit on the 22nd or the 24th. I take that back. I had something on the 24th, but it was supposed to be Howard Street.
think maybe we scheduled one and then rescheduled it for another date.
I had something on the 28th, but I didn't write down where it was.
To have the Millet site walk and then 589 Pearl Street on the June 28th.
Okay. We could correct that in a subsequent follow-up minutes. It's possible that, so if we said Thursday 20, it would have been Thursday the 24th. It could just be something that we check in on in the video too.
Sounds good.
It'd be good to keep that accurate, keep a good record on that.
Actually, if I can jump in, I just checked my calendar and it was Thursday, the 22nd, 1503 Main Street.
Tuesday is the 22nd of June.
My calendar's saying, no,
Might be my mistake. Was I looking at July? No, I was looking at June. The 22nd is a Tuesday.
Yeah,
We
it is.
met on Wednesday, the 23rd, and that's what these minutes are about.
On Thursday, July 22nd, we had a site visit to Zero Small Lane. So that might be contributing to some of the confusion.
Okay. I don't want to take up too much time here. We can look into it. So let's table this review of the site minutes and look at them again at the next meeting.
I think we might have gone on July 13th.
Anything's possible at this point.
My first site visit with the commission was on the 14th. I recall not being able to attend a site visit that I heard about at the last minute the previous day. So that's consistent with what Martha said. I'm just trying to find the email that I received on the 13th that came too late for me to be able to make the site visit, because that would probably say what site was being visited.
Yeah, and I have July 13
Right.
as a site visit date for 1503. So
July.
Yeah, but I think we might have intended to go sooner and then delayed it to July 13th. So I think
To
going
include-
back to the video would be the best solution.
Yeah.
I have July 26th, 1503. And it's, so
let's-
I don't,
I tell you
let's
what, we
table
see
it. Yep.
different number. Let's circle back to it. Okay, then I'd like to move on to the next hearing for Zero Small Lane.
Sure.
So do you want me to read the agenda?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so we are going to continue the public hearing right now for the notice of intent for Zero Small Lane filed by LLC Megan Johnson, Del Rey Realty pursuant to the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act. The applicant is proposing to construct a limited project stream crossing with retaining walls, wetland alteration, wetland replication, drainage, grading, and associated utilities under 310 CMR 10 only. The work is within 100 feet of a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed on the Conservation Division page under the current project, Zero Small Lane. Assessors map 40 and 41, lot 153 and 155, and lot 29, DEP file number 270-0748.
So Anika, before you get into this, I'm going to drop off for this topic and I'll rejoin after this topic is done.
So at this point, you're recusing yourself for this hearing,
Correct, for now.
just to be clear. Okay,
Thanks.
okay. Thank you, Brian.
So we have Bill Johnson here. Bill, is there anyone else here for this that we need to unmute?
No, the team from North had a conflict, so they asked me to fill in.
Okay,
Okay. So Chuck, I believe where it stands, I did catch the video for this last time.
So- yeah, I
Go-
can do a kind of like a quick rundown of what happened at the last meeting.
Appreciate it.
The commission went to a site visit, reviewed the site, had some questions about moving the road, some trees that they thought were missed. And I believe Vice Chair Moore said that, looking at the plans, she would feel more comfortable if a third-party review was able to look at the crossing aspect of this plan, stormwater features, and also to, when it comes to the writing of the order of conditions, to put in those aspects that have to do with what their review put in place. So over the past couple of weeks, we sent out a request to find out what the cost of reviewing this site with that scope of work was, and we have received one from LEC Environmental, and I could put that up on the screen if needed.
I know you sent that out. I know you sent that out.
Yeah, and I sent that to the applicants also. And I'm going to just do my share screen twice, because that seems to work. And we received this this application, or this quote, and it's talks
Okay.
about the scope of work that LEC is going to do, and some site visit they're going to do with the commission and the applicant, and then one public meeting. And then it shows their fees,
Mhm.
and it gives a total of $5,000 for this work. And I believe that's right up in this paragraph right here, fees for service.
Yep. So have other members of Conservation Commission had a chance? We received this on Monday. Have other people, is there anybody in Conservation who has not had appropriate time to review this? Just want to, because, yeah. Have people looked at it?
Yes, I
And-
did look at it.
And, okay. I looked at it, and does anybody have any questions? Or I would entertain a motion to accept this. It's $5,000, which is the limit of what we can approve on our own.
And
And we could make a motion to accept it, then we don't have to vote on that motion until we check with the applicant and see what their comments are on this, and then we can discuss it and vote it.
I would be happy to move that we accept this bid from LEC to do the work at Zero Swan Lake.
Okay? So I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Johnson, you've shown up on behalf of the applicant. Do you have any questions or comments on
Yes.
what we're talking about?
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Bill Johnson, and my daughter Megan is the developer trying to build herself a house here, and I'm the GC. So I don't have a problem necessarily with it going out to bid. And from my understanding, if the bid is over 5,000, it should go out to a couple of different companies to bid. And in the 40 years that I've been doing this, anytime it goes out to an outside consultant, I've never seen it stick to the price that they've quoted. It always goes over. And having said that, I would like to request the board to, at least try to get one other bid for us. I know it'll delay us, but that would be our request, that we send out and try to at least get another bid to see where we fall.
Okay. I'm going to ask Conservation Commission if anybody has any comments on that, and kind of in roll call order. So Martha, if you don't mind.
That seems reasonable to me, to put it out for one or more other bids.
Martha, I think it seems pretty reasonable to get another bid if that's what the applicant wants.
Agreed as well.
Yep, I had the same opinion. So at this point, so motion was made.
Shall I withdraw my motion, or shall we vote it down?
I'd suggest we vote it. I'd suggest we vote it down. Or I think, Chuck, right, procedurally, we could do it either way.
You could I would just withdraw it. Yeah.
Okay. I withdraw my motion, and I make an alternative motion to say that we request that Chuck put this out to bid and see if we can get one or more other bids on this third-party review.
Okay. Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Go ahead and vote.
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Joe Carnahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. So we'll get a second quote, and we will see what happens next.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Chuck, the next hearing.
Why don't we talk about the monthly meeting for a minute and just find out who is going to go to the September 7th DPW monthly meeting with me, and I'll send out a Zoom link for that.
I'm
Okay.
available to go to that one.
Martha?
Sure. If anybody else wants to fight me for it, go ahead, but I'm happy to show up.
Okay,
All right, seeing that it's 7:30 by my clock.
okay. Then we're going to continue the public hearing for the notice of intent for Lot A Main Street, which is next to 1261 Main Street. This is a public hearing on a notice of intent filed by Frank Lanzillo LLC pursuant to the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act. The applicant proposes to construct a new single-family dwelling on a vacant lot. New improvements also include a driveway and utilities. All work is within 100 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed on the Conservation Division page under the project. Assessor's map 51, lot 95, next to 1261 Main Street. And this is under DEP file number 270-0748. Chuck is the applicant here for this one.
Yes, 1 second.
Sure.
I just saw him. Oh, yeah, he is right here.
Who are you looking for?
Giovanni
back, Brian.
Fedor.
Thank you.
Are you unmuted? No. Okay.
All right, there you go. Giovanni Federa with Federa Engineering. I'm the project engineer. I'd like to ask if we continue this to the next hearing because we had soil testing completed last Thursday, and we did walk the site this past week. I think it was Monday. So haven't had enough time to really come up with a new plan for the redesign of the stormwater and whatnot. So if we can just ask to continue this to the next hearing, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll take that up under consideration. I think I also want to take a step back. I think there was also a site visit that was also done since the last meeting. Do I have that right, Chuck?
Yes, we conducted a site visit.
Let's get a report on that as well.
So I can give the report unless someone else wants to give the report. So the site visit was conducted on Monday, the 9th at Lot A, which is next to Nelson Road and 1261 Main Street. And I think one of the first things we noticed was that the first two houses on Nelson Road had survey stakes in their backyard. And it appeared and it was explained to us that there had been some encroachment in those backyards, and there's quite a lot of land that belongs to this site that had been turned into land. And I think when I was looking at that, it did help me understand how this house would fit, because it was a little tough just driving past and viewing it from the road and understanding where the wetlands are and where the edge of the tree line was. We went further on and discussed a few flags and some trees, and finding out, I think one or two trees were missed from the survey, and I think Giovanni's going to put those on the new plan when he sends it to us. And kind of working our way to the south, we kept looking at flags, and we noticed that there were some spots that were a little bit soft, that were up gradient from where the flags were hung, and some soil augers showed that it was, not conclusively, but at least to put some doubt in some members' heads whether it was the flag was in the right position. And we moved on from some of those flags and got down to flag 10 and 9, and there was a trench in that area, and it looked like it kind of went along 9 and 10 and then wrapped towards the wetland area. And flag 8, flag 6, flag 7, 5, 4, those seem to be very close to the house, and their placement seemed to be very important to this project. So I think there were some comments about those flags, and I'll just turn it over to either Brian, Joe, or Martha to bring up those comments and let Giovanni know about anything that you want to discuss about them.
Brian, Joe, Martha, any one of you, first to the button here.
All right, I'll step up to the plate.
We'll go around.
I think we were concerned that we would like to have those wetland flags reviewed by a third-party review so that we are confident of the actual border of the wetland, especially because some of them are only 36 feet from the proposed building. So if they're off by a little bit, that impacts the no structure zone. So those were the ones I was most concerned about, but it's all along that edge. And there seemed to be some sort of lower channels that might be closer to the house than the wetland flags, or at least equal height as the wetland flags. So I'd like to see them double checked.
Okay. Brian, do you want to speak up on this? I know you're unmuted.
Yes, I'm with you now. So Martha was talking about the trenches or depressed areas. I agree. Those are, I question those as well. I think the one that seems to be the key when we're there is flag 5A. Key because, first of all, it's the closest, it's the one a lot of the measurements are made from. And that's one where when we stood there, it seemed like there certainly was room for some doubt as to whether it was placed optimally or not. And the problem is, if in fact it did get moved, upgrade, if you will, then that begins to be a problem for the 35-foot buffer. So I guess I would agree with the others that perhaps some of these should be checked.
Okay. Joe, did you want to comment, or are you all set?
I had nothing to add. I had the same questions about 5 and the same observation about its pivotal location relative to the plans here.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody else in the commission? John?
Nothing for me.
Okay. So I agree. This is a tight site. And I'm inclined that we need to have these professionally reviewed. This bordering vegetated wetland line checked. So I'm also open to continue the public hearing as well. So Giovanni, I'm just going to see if you have any comments on that. And then I'm going to open it up for public comment, and then I'll ask for a vote.
If we have a third-party reviewer, is it up to my client, the applicant, to choose, or is it up to you guys to choose who will review it?
I can try and field it. Why don't you, Chuck?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sure. It's so it's under the control of the Conservation Commission. So the Conservation Commission has gone out and they reviewed the flags, but they had questions, and so they're determined that the commission isn't sufficiently staffed with someone who can evaluate the flag. So they're able to ask for third-party review, and it's up to the applicant to pay for this review, and that's how it's written in the WPA. So what we usually do is get 3 quotes. You saw in the last meeting that if it's under $5,000, we only have to get one quote. But I would suggest that the commission decide on what flags they want reviewed, and it should be far less than 5,000. So we don't really have to go through the whole process of having 3 quotes be submitted and then pick the one that's most qualified, the least amount of money, but most qualified. We could just go with one. But as you see, this commission likes to have some choices. The money does have to be in the town account prior to the work starting.
Okay. And one thing that can affect the quote is the scope that we ask for. And, I think looking at the plan, it doesn't seem to me that we need, the most easternmost wetland flag. For example, I could barely see it, 19A. the one way down at the end of the property. I think we need the wetland flags verified along the large stretch, sort of the most contiguous wetlands, but we also need the wetlands. It looked to me it might help to get the ones
Can you,
10B verified, or
so you
but
know
we
it's up,
can get it-
it's up on the screen.
yeah, I mean, one starts near the street, there's 1A.
Yep.
Just clearly, we
So
have,
you want 10B?
so if you go down to, and I've got to zoom in here. I've got it in front of me. There's 10A. There's also B series wetlands, wetland flag. The way I'm thinking is, and I'd like to hear what the rest of the conservation thinks, but if we can get the wetland flags that are 50 feet of what's proposed here.
So here's 5A. That's one you want done. I guess once we get in started, it's just going to be a run. I mean, is 10 flags any less than having 5? I don't think so, but
But also that pinch point at 10A and 11B. If you go a little bit north, sorry, east, because page up is east.
trying to, yep. Let's move this.
Do you see 10A and 11B?
I see 10A and 11A.
But there's a second series wetland flags, sort of to the left and above. So the sense I had, it's just a suggestion, is we could request that all wetland flags within 50 feet of the limits of work shown on this plan get verified. And I'd like to hear from the rest of Conservation Commission if they're okay with keeping the scope limited to 50 feet from the limit of work line here. It does include probably goes through 11A, probably includes 12B, 11B. I mean, I'm kind of ballparking it based on what I know the scale to be. It's probably 9B, 10B, 11B, 12B. And also wetland flags 1A through 11A.
So there's no reason to, so I think we should, yeah,
May I comment? I've been
sure.
hand raising doesn't. I don't know if we're using hand raising here or not. I didn't. So if I recall from the site visit, I don't recall a lot of questions about the B series flags. And on the plan here, I'll note the comparatively steep gradient towards those. I think that those were, I mean, you know, to take an example from a different site, supposing we moved them up 18 inches vertically, it wouldn't move them very far horizontally. There was a lot more concern about 5 and possibly the 4 and 6. I don't recall there being a question about like 7, 8, 9, 10. On the other hand, if it doesn't add anything to the cost or doesn't add anything significant to the cost, I'm happy to see those reviewed too. But if I would 4, 5, 6 are the ones that would make me feel better. Let's put it that way.
Those sound like the most urgent ones.
Yeah.
The reason why I grabbed 10 is it looks like it goes up a contour. And typically wetlands, do you know what I mean?
That does, water does not flow that way, yes.
And it may be catching a detail that the contour interval doesn't catch.
There
Okay,
are
which is fine, it might be fine.
there are details that the contour line doesn't catch. The trench,
Yeah.
for example, that we were discussing,
We don't-
does not appear here, but it's pretty significant if you're actually walking the line.
But I think the trench was down nearer, somewhere in the 2A, 3A range, right? It was further towards the street. It was just before the bee's nest, as I recall.
Look out for
Okay.
the bee's nest, everybody.
Yes.
So I think it
see
makes
that.
sense to keep the scope of work pertinent to what we're looking for. I think if you look at the flagging for the rest of the property, there isn't work proposed there, so we wouldn't
Right.
really consider those for design standards. We wouldn't try to apply the standards to that area. Right, so I think that's an efficient way to do it if the applicant is going to is proposing to keep the work to this area, then we can just hone in on what's pertinent to that.
Yeah, once we get down to the western edge of the plan, at that point, even if the flags moved 15 feet, it looks like it wouldn't actually reach the no disturb line, still wouldn't reach the driveway. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion at this point, unless there's any further comment from conservation members or Chuck. I'll entertain a motion to continue this to the next.
I did have a comment.
ahead.
You know, when we were sharing the screen, I can only see the speakers talking, so that's how I missed the hand raise. I just need to know what we're looking at, and if you can see what I've circled, is that what we're going to have reviewed, or is there something else? But just let me know. And I don't think it's going to add a lot of value. It might add value to that one location if we get an isolated flag reviewed, but you really want to look at lines. Like that's why I circled 3 through maybe 9 might be a good idea. It gives the soil scientist the ability to start seeing the rhyme and reason out there and understanding the soils, the vegetation. So I would recommend it having that whole south side looked at. I'm not sure, you know, was it B10 and 12 or 10 and 11? Make a lot of sense, but they're kind of in that zone. I mean, it's almost kissing the back deck.
Well, it may be easily, may be a little bit of work that just verifies it. You know, that's another control. It's another constraint on the project design. And it's another resource area. I'm sure it sounds like it's easily identified. But if somebody's out there, they might as well check one of those flags. We could take that as representative of that area. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think the ones that Chuck has circled are a good selection that give us the information we need without costing the applicant more than they need to spend.
yeah. Should we include 2A for people who were at the site visit? No, that's obvious. Okay,
I would say no.
okay.
Yeah, you might not even need to do 3A, but
Three seems, I guess, conservative in terms of what we're checking and in terms of checking more things rather.
yeah,
Okay,
so
okay. In
the
that
driveway
case,
is not a big concern. It was more or less where the house was and wrapping the corner, I thought up till 10, but the B series, I can see it. Although it's a deck, it's not the foundation.
But the reason I was mentioning 2A and 3A, because that was the area where there was that large tree with a depression running towards it. and then an almost 90 degrees once you got past the root system. And so, especially after the turn, where it's running directly towards the wetlands, that was very low and certainly didn't seem to be much different than the wetlands itself, which is why I was thinking that's what Martha was talking about with the trenches.
Brian, are you saying you think 2A should also be checked?
Yes, especially around that tree. It's a pretty easy to find tree. It's a large tree with a trench running essentially east-west, and then there's the tree root system, and then it's diagonally off, heading more north-south. But it's down in that area of 3A. I'm gonna do 3A-ish.
Okay. Okay.
Ryan, is the tree that you're referring to marked on here?
Let me look.
Like, I think we spent some time in the vicinity of T36, which is near 5.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a fairly sizable one.
I'm thinking it's more down, what's that, T9? A little bit. So,
T10 right here.
no, to the right and up from that. So basically near flag 3A, yeah, that one. I thought it was around there, wasn't it?
Okay.
I'm really not sure. I'm not gonna find it again in an instant, but that's probably
That's
for a
okay.
different reason.
That's okay. We can revisit it during a future site visit.
Sure.
So I have B 10 and 11 and A 2 through 10. Do I have that right? B 10 and 11 and A 2 through 10.
I think that's sufficient. Is there any objections from other people on the Conservation Commission? No? Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask if anybody from the public has any question or comment about this. And if you do, please raise your hand, introduce yourself, give your name and address, and provide some comment. I don't see anything. Chuck, do you?
I don't see any hand raised.
Okay. If you're watching remotely and you'd like to provide a comment, you can email it to the Conservation Commission about this. And we will receive a copy of your comment and we'll look at it before the next meeting. So let's continue this. We've got, I'll entertain a motion to continue this public hearing.
I move to continue the public hearing on Lot A, Main Street, DEP file number 270-0748 to our next meeting on August 25th.
Second that.
Okay, vote please.
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Brian Bowen in favor.
Joe Carnahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. So thank you. And we will be in
Thanks,
touch.
Giovanni. Okay.
Okay, moving right along. Is it, let's see. Should we go to 17 Baker, Chuck, or should we take care of some more old new business?
No, we can do 17 Baker.
Okay.
So that would be
Okay.
fine.
Okay, in that case, we are going to open the public hearing on a request of determination of applicability filed by Joseph Raposa for 17 Baker Road under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1, for the construction of a 20-foot by 23-foot addition located approximately 73 feet from the resource area at its closest point. A crushed stone drip trench will be utilized to collect, infiltrate additional roof runoff. A 12 diameter mulch stock backed by silt fence will serve as erosion control. The plans show a construction entrance and a soil stockpile area. The work is within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed on the Conservation Division page under the project. Map 34, Lot 13, RGB file number RDA 2021-8.
Joe, I wanted to ask, is Nancy Toomey part of your project?
She's part of it, yes.
Just wanted to, oh, there she is right there. I didn't know if she was.
Thank God.
Okay,
Sorry.
All
Welcome.
right, so good. All right, so let me pull
welcome
up the,
Joe, welcome Nancy.
Thank
pull
you.
up the plan. Yeah.
I believe this is the first time we're getting this in a meeting. Is that correct, Chuck?
Sure. So here's the plan right now.
Okay, let's get an introduction from the applicant on their RDA.
Yeah, so it's Joe Raposa, 17 Baker Road in Reading, Mass. What the proposal is to build, which is marked in red here, a 20 by 23 addition, basically a great room with a fireplace on the very end. It's within the 100-foot buffer. I think it says 73.5 feet there. It doesn't extend any further than the existing house in terms of encroachment. It's parallel to the back of the existing home. Like I said, in the application, we'll be using stone trenching versus gutters to filter the water, the appropriate silt fence and boundaries to maintain wetland protection during construction. Jack Sullivan was our engineer here, surveyor, and Nancy Twomey was our wonderful architect. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can't answer.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go through. Martha, do you have any questions on this?
Is this a one-story addition?
It is on an existing single-story structure.
And I see your garage is on the left, so this is coming off the opposite side of the house from the garage.
That's correct.
And are you changing the topography? It looks like there are a couple of new topo lines there. 94 and 92. 96. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that meaning. Are we changing the height of the property in terms of constructing the addition?
Yeah, it looks like you're going to regrade the slope going down next to the addition a little bit.
Chuck, can you?
Sure. So yeah, so Jack's not here, so I'm just going to let you know that after they dig the hole for the foundation and backfill it, they just want to meet the existing grade. So he's bringing that 92 straight across, so it's flat in the back, and that 94, he's just pulling that from where that fireplace is, and he's going to meet that existing 94 in that area. So they are not changing the grades, they're actually just feathering them out. So so the foundation works, and it's not so abrupt, because now that proposed addition is taking up a lot of room, so there's not enough, that grading is more abrupt with that section of the property kind of taken up by the addition. So that's why they need to feather out that grading area. That's what I've seen. If Jack can write in if I've got that wrong, but I would say that's not really a lot, and it's needed.
So the reason I'm asking that is because if they're doing that, it looks like they might be disturbing the existing plantings. And I apologize, I did not get out to look at what's growing there. So is that all lawn right now where that addition is going to be, or will you need to move any shrubs or plants or anything?
No, it's all lawn
So
currently.
it'll just be re-lawned once you do the building.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions.
Thank you. John, do you have any questions?
So I think the plans cover most of what I would be asking. We've got a drip trench on either side of the addition and a mulch sock for erosion control. Is that the existing porch? Does that have some sort of foundation on it, or is it just kind of built on posts? And could any erosion from this project kind of seep under the porch and down around the mulch sock? I guess is my question.
Well, to answer this, structurally, it's on a post. There's no foundation there. In terms of erosion onto that side, it'd be at the same level. I don't know that it would flow in that direction in terms of erosion, but I could certainly ask Jack if that was a concern to protect that area.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it might just make sense to extend that mulch sock kind of around the porch to make sure that nothing kind of flows underneath.
Good.
I think that's it for me, Anika.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Next person, Brian, I believe.
Right. I don't have any additional questions.
Joe.
I think Martha tried to ask this, and I apologize if sounds like the question was answered to her satisfaction, but I don't think I followed. With respect to the grading change, it looks like the 92-foot contour is moving. It's actually moving from one side of the proposed erosion control to the other, which makes me think there must be some disturbance downhill from the erosion control. Am I reading that right, or am I misinterpreting the diagram here somehow?
The dark 92 line is the proposed cut,
Right.
and the lighter line
Yeah.
is existing. So
Right. So
they're
So-
cutting with inside the erosion control, between the erosion control and the proposed addition.
But I follow what you're saying, Joe. There's two 92 lines. So something
I-
has to be cut.
Yeah,
So-
I assume that the old 92 line ceases to be a 92 line. It becomes a 91 and change line or something like that.
No, it stays
No.
92. Where it says 92 in bold is actually 93. And just beyond it, you can see 92.8 and 90, and above it, you can see 93.1. And so he's cutting about a foot plus in that area.
Could you show us, Chuck, where you see those numbers, the 93? I see the
Yeah.
93
I
one.
see, yeah, and the 92 right there. I see. So the
And-
92 line,
This remains.
But that 92.8 is going to be cut back.
Right.
what,
The eight is going to be gone.
If
Yeah.
this is 92 and this is 92, everything that's higher than that in between these two numbers goes away,
It's flat.
is flat.
Yeah.
And 94 up here will meet the 92. So within this amount of space, there's a 2-foot drop, which seems reasonable. This is 94 here. So this is just going to be cut inside of this area here to meet the 94. And I don't see
Interesting.
another maybe it's all 94 in here. So 94 or 92, it must go down. So there's some grading in between. But it's all inside the erosion control, and that's 7.5. Is that 75 feet or 7.5?
75.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how wide the porch is and just subtract
Oh.
it from the 73. So it's probably, I don't know, 12 feet.
Correct.
Or it's more than 12 feet long, but yeah, that's might be, even if it's 18 feet long, that's 65, right? So the erosion control will be 65 feet from well end. Okay, still a little confused about the contour lines, but I'm gonna let that one go. Thank you.
Then just as a little follow-up, I'm going to ask the applicant, so that area between the two 92-foot contours, the proposed new contour and the existing 92-foot contour outside of the erosion control line, are you flattening that for a patio? Are you proposing any sort of walkout from the basement in that area? Is there some access that's going to happen? Is there going to be any additional build outs from the foundation itself to the ground level?
So there'll be an access door right there where Chuck is pointing. There'll be a door to exit that new foundation.
Right.
So I would just suspect that would be flattened a bit to accommodate the entrance.
Okay,
No,
are you,
Good.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
not
are you-
planning on putting patio or anything out there. It's just, it's really gonna be just a storage room.
and it will be level with the ground at that 92?
Correct.
Okay, just want to emphasize that if you are planning anything in there, a patio, a deck, or anything else to be put there, add it to the plan.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's gonna be just, that room, that back part of that room will just be unfinished storage. So it'll just be for a lawnmower and such to be stored there. So I don't plan on doing anything there in terms of patio.
Okay. Okay,
So it looks-
go ahead, Martha.
It looks to me like you'd be walking across the crushed stone drip trench to get into the door to that foundation area. I'm not objecting, just sort of interpreting that. You don't need a stair step or a
No, correct.
little patio thing to step out onto because you've got the gravel to step on.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't have any further questions. How about you, Chuck? Do you have any?
Sure. Just continuing with that exit. This is one of those situations where when we see plans that don't have a deck or a patio, we always ask questions. So I just, for me, and to not, do this twice or have a change order, Joe, typically there is a kind of concrete pad, like the width of the door. It sticks out about 3 feet, so you can clean your shoes off or whatever before you walk into the basement. I don't know if that was forgotten about, but it's still pretty far away. I don't think that would be an issue if that's what the intention was there. I also had another question about the drip trench. So it says 12-inch wide, 18-inch deep crushed stone drip trench, and sidewalls will have filter fabric. So I understand that the top is going to be exposed crushed stone, but I would like the filter fabric to be wrapped on 3 sides. So the sides and the bottom.
Good. Good.
Okay, is there
That's all I
anything-
have, yeah.
Okay. I just had one other follow-up question, and that is, are there going to be any additional utilities any additional excavation for utilities accessing this property,
No,
this part?
no, the utilities that we have here will support that addition. So no more.
Okay. Okay. In that case,
And Chuck, you did ask me to look on check the street for any drains that may be compromised through this construction, but there's no drains on the street in terms of our road here on Baker Road.
Okay.
okay, one last question. Any fencing proposed?
No proposed. There is fencing now. I'm just going to cut it back to accommodate the addition, and where it says right where it says 17.2 there, that's that
Yeah.
marker. That'll be just the remaining fence. It'll be cut back, that section, just to
So
close
it'll be
up.
cut back for the construction and reestablished? after?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to, okay, does the applicant have any other questions?
No more for me.
Okay, then I'm going to open it up to the public, as this is a public hearing. I'm gonna, if you're a member of the public and you have a question, if you could raise your hand. I don't see anything. Okay, if there are any, all right, hearing no further questions or comments, I will entertain a motion on this. At this point, just to clarify, we're not asking for additional information from the applicant. We've asked a lot of good questions and we don't have any further questions, so I will entertain a motion on this RDA.
Are we moving for a negative RDA or to close the hearing?
I would entertain a negative determination. I also want to comment that we are not approving the wetland line on this particular, we're not verifying the wetland line on this particular project. It is a substantial distance away. And essentially by default, we're saying it's far enough away to consider this project to be an RDA fit for this, and a negative vote means that the applicant does not have to file, does not have to put this application aside and file a notice of intent because the work is more intense and requires additional review and additional conditions. So that's what a negative vote would mean. So
Checking off 2B, positive 2B, that the boundary of the resource area listed below are not confirmed by this determination. And checking off N3, that the work described in the request is within the buffer zone and as defined in the regulations, but will not alter the area subject to protection under the Act.
yeah, because it's so far away. So I'll entertain a negative determination.
And if we vote yes on that negative determination, the applicant is okay to proceed with the project, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If we vote yes on a negative determination, yes.
So I would move for a negative determination on 17 Baker Road, file number RDA 2021-8.
I'll second that.
Okay, Martha?
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor.
Joe Kernahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. Negative determination passes. Chuck, if you would talk the applicant through the next steps in this process.
Joe, I will send out the application to you either tomorrow or on Monday. There's a 10-day appeal period. You can proceed at your own risk, only with an RDA, but that doesn't apply to notices of intent. So it's up to you, but I will send that. If you want to pick it up, fine, let me know, but otherwise it'll be sent out certified mail.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you later, Nancy.
Okay. Chuck, next, we've got, on this lovely new agenda, we've got, it's new to me. I gotta make it to more of these meetings. We have ROW Cross Street, Shackford Road, and Ash Street.
Yeah, we have Laurie McDonald here to present this for Boston Gas and Gas, and I believe she's coming online right now.
Yes. Hello, my name's Laurie McDonald. I work for Conoco Engineers and Scientists. I'm sorry.
Laurie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we got to read a little script beforehand, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. I'd love to dive in, but we gotta do our order. So,
Okay, sorry about that.
just give me a minute. Don't listen in. It's kind of boring, this particular script, but that's okay. We gotta do it. So we are going to open the public hearing for ROW Cross Street, Shackford Road, and Ash Street. It's a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability filed by Boston Gas under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MDL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1, for the replacement and or relaying of existing gas mains, the upgrade and tie-in of adjacent services to existing mains or new mains from 21 Cross Street to 87 Cross Street and along Shackford Road and Ash Street. Portions of the work are within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed on the Conservation Division page under the project. Map 34, Lot 13, RGB file number RDA 2021-9. And Laurie, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's
I
fine.
got ahead of myself there. My name's Laurie McDonald. I work with Conoco Engineers and Scientists, and I'm representing Boston Gas regarding this project. Typically, this type of project is maintenance replacement project that's exempt under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and it would also meet the exemption exemption under the town of Reading's local regulations and bylaws. In any event, we have filed this RDA just to obtain concurrence from the Conservation Commission that the exemption exists, and I wanted to describe the project to you in a little more detail. So I don't know if you have the mapping available. Chuck, can you put that up, or how?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll have to take a few minutes. I did. Yeah, I thought it was clear that I was going to let you.
Oh, all right.
She has a screen, so you can if you have it.
Yeah, I do actually have it. I wasn't sure that's how you were going to do that. All right.
Yeah, great. I'm glad that
So can you share?
you should be able to. You've been made a co-host.
So
Where-
Laurie, at the bottom of the Zoom screen, it's a box with an up arrow. It just says share screen. Are you able to see your? So at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's on the left is Zoom, stop video. As you're moving to the right, it says security, participants, chat,
There it
and
is.
then
Okay.
share screen. So
Okay, got that.
If you're having trouble, I can actually put it up if you want. Does that make it
just-
easier?
I have it. I'm just a little slow here.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
great.
So I'll go to the USGS quadrangle first. So this is the project area here in Reading. This is Route 28 here. I'm moving my cursor up and down along Route 28, and this is, I guess this would be 128. So the project area is Cross Street, Ash Street, and Shackelford Road. And here's a little bit more detail. So the limits of the project extend from Avon Street along Ash Street to approximately 316 Ash Street, and then from Ash Street along Cross Street down to 21 Cross Street, and then all of Shackford Road. The project area has Walker Brook, which is a perennial stream, what appears to be a perennial stream that flows from north to south within the project area. That's that blue line right here. It flows under Cross Street at 47 Cross Street, and then it daylights somewhere south of 47 Cross Street before flowing south and turning northeast back up to Ash Street outside the project limits. This particular brook has a Zone A associated with it, a floodplain, and BVW. And I'm going to go to the next map with the zone, with the certified, there's a certified vernal pool also within the general area of the project that's south of, what looks like 67 Cross Street. It's about 200 feet away from the roadway behind the house. And then here's the limits of the Zone A, associated Walker Brook. And this is 200 feet from the brook itself, and it kind of extends a little bit into Shackford Road where some of the work is occurring.
Lori, quick question, and I'll
Sure.
let you proceed. Are all the gas lines that you need to do work in, are they all within the road extent, or is anything actually traversing any right-of-ways?
Everything will be within the existing pavement. There may be a little bit of work associated with some testing stations that are at the back of curb or sidewalk at the site.
We'll get in,
Yeah,
we'll get into that. Okay.
all of it is generally within the pavement and within the right of way. So the project involves the abandonment of an existing low pressure gas main along Ash Street and the tying in of services from transferring the services from that low pressure system to an existing 60 PSI gas main in Ash Street. Same situation along Cross Street, abandoning an existing low pressure gas main along Cross Street and tying in services to an existing 60 PSI gas main. And then installing a new 2-inch plastic 60 PSI gas main in Shackford Road adjacent to the existing low pressure main and abandoning that, transferring transferring service from the existing main to the new main and abandoning the existing main in place. There will be some erosion controls installed where required. We're going to be installing some catch basin silt sacks where necessary, as well as some straw wattles where necessary. There may be a potential of intercepting groundwater when transferring the service or when installing the new main on Shackford Road. In that case, if groundwater is encountered, then we'll be dewatering to a straw bale dewatering basin with Marafi fabric and crushed stone. The trench work will will be backfilled at the end of the day, and all the trenches will be closed at the end of the day, and the area swept, so nothing will be left open at the completion of each at the conclusion of each workday. There's I don't know if there's anything else that I can make mention. There's no plans for removal of vegetation. As I mentioned, everything will be in the existing paved right away. So no removal of trees. And I think that's it. At this point, I think I'll open it up to questions. We're hoping that you, as a commission, will be able to issue a negative determination, given the fact that everything will be within the existing right-of-way and roadway, and considering the fact that traditionally these types of projects are cleared with an informal letter to the commission, since they are technically exempt from the Wetlands Protection Act. So at this point, any questions?
Yeah, can I jump in? I just wanted to ask a question. I don't see that you fit within section 2J because the examples are less activity than what you're proposing. And it talks about trimming of branches, shrubs, pruning, but not removing trees, removal of invasive species, ornamental shrubs within 25 feet. So I don't want you to go back to Conoco. And we've always maintained that these things are exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, but not under the local bylaw. And also they do need to be watched. We've had issues with gas line replacement and having staging areas on Plymouth Road, for instance. It just was never cleaned up and never top dressed, never seeded, actually never asked permission to use that. And lo and behold, the contractor decided to use the parking area that was closest to the resource area, which, without mentioning it to anyone. So anyways, I don't see that you have a local exemption. And if you want to dispute that, I just hear your comments on that, it would be interesting, but I don't see how the examples meet the activity that you're proposing.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
I
Chuck.
was just, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Lori, I'm going to ask you to note that and get back to us on that. I'm gonna open up to the commission. Martha.
Sure. I see that in your packet, you have straw wattles for the erosion control. And I'm concerned that Shackford Road comes so close to the stream area. Do you think straw wattles are sufficient? A lot of the projects we've been approving have mulch socks and silt fence where it's at risk of eroding toward the stream.
Yeah, it's very flat in that area. I would say the straw wattles are sufficient. The trench work, like I mentioned, it'll occur during the day, and then at the end of the day, everything will be covered up and the area will be swept before going back the next day to finish up the work. So I think the straw wattles are sufficient.
And so you say each day they're going to clean up the section they've been working on. So
Correct.
there won't be a lot of cleanup to do at the end if you're cleaning up each day and covering over what you've dug.
Correct.
Okay. And while you're digging, have you made a plan for where to stockpile the stuff you dig out of the hole? Will it just be on the pavement of the road?
Usually it's either excavated right and stockpiled right to the side of the road and then used as backfill, or it's removed from the site altogether and excavated and put into a truck and taken off site. So that's what usually happens. But they don't usually go and stockpile it elsewhere within the project area. They usually remove it totally from the site if they need to remove it, or they put it back into the trench.
Okay, and then what will the construction vehicles do overnight in between the days that they are digging? Will they be parked somewhere in the area, or will they drive off-site?
That will be up to the contractor. I think one of the good things about having a negative determination with conditions would be the fact that the commission could state in the determination itself that no staging would be allowed within the 200 feet of Walker Brook.
That is the kind of thing I was thinking. I would really like to see them not stage any vehicles right near the stream.
It is a zone A, so I would think National Grid would approve of something like that.
Those were all my questions.
Okay, thank you. John?
You said that each site, the portion that was worked on each day would be cleaned up at the end of the day. Does that include the erosion control, or does that all get put down at the beginning?
No,
and then picked up?
that stays throughout the
Okay.
the length of the project.
Okay.
So
the
typically
erosion control doesn't move as the work moves.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
usually the contractor will come in at the beginning of the project, install all their erosion controls and monitor them, keep them in place. And then once construction is complete, depending on whether the commission wants to go out and review the site prior to picking up erosion controls, they can keep it in place until then, or something to that effect.
Okay. And if there's any sort of replanting or reseeding that needs to be done after work's complete, is that done at the end of the project, or is that kind of included in the end of the day cleanup?
Seeding would occur at the end of the project, but everything is anticipated to be right within the pavement, so there won't really be any need for seeding. Maybe when they install that 9-inch by 9-inch testing station at the intersection of Shackford and Cross Street at the back of the curbing, maybe that would result in a little bit of disturbance, but I wouldn't anticipate a lot of seeding needed along the corridor.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all from me.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, hi. Perhaps just seeking some clarification, but earlier in response to Martha's question, you were saying that the material that's dug out be put on the side of the road. So then at the end of the day, does all that material get put back in? What happens if that's one of the times that we get one of these rainstorms we've been having? Where does that flow to? Are there drains there, storm drains that would then get some of that flow, or would it go off right to whatever the side of the road? There's no curbs there. So if you maybe talk to that generally, please.
So the material will be removed if there's excess material from the work area at the end of the day. There will be silt sacks in any of the catch basins along the roadways. And at the end of the day, the work area will be swept. That's just a standard National Grid Boston Gas process. The contractor generally is required to do that.
Okay. All right. That's really all I have. Thank you.
You, Brian, Joe?
I mean, thinking out loud about Brian's question, I'm guessing that on the days with the weather that Brian is talking about, I'm guessing those would probably not be work days. I don't imagine this work's gonna be going on days of heavy rain. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
All right. In that case, I don't think I have any additional questions besides what everyone else has said.
Okay, thanks. I have a question about the test stations. What's the purpose of those? And what are those for?
So my understanding is they're to keep the pipes from corroding. They're wires that go down and attach to the iron pipes that are installed. And they test to make sure that there's no deterioration, and sometimes they're fitted with cathodes, I guess, to keep them from corrosion. It's like a corrosion prevention process, is my understanding. I'd have to get more information for you on that.
Do we have something in your submittal that sort of explains the disturbance at the ground level based on that testing? Because I'd like to sort of get a picture of what that looks like at the ground level.
I can get you a standard detail if you'd like. It's a small 9x9 area, basically, that's disturbed, to add wires that connect to the pipe, and there's a PVC that the wires extend out from the ground from the gas main. I can get you a detail if you'd like.
I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Chuck, did you have any more questions on this or any follow-ups?
Yeah, I did. Lori, can you stop screen sharing? I'm going to bring up the street.
Sure. Let me okay.
All right. So here's Cross Street. Right here is the easement, and the resource area is kind of in this area right here. And you had a picture up before that showed the 200-foot riverfront. Was that what it was? 200 feet? It must have been. And I wanted to know if you could commit to not staging inside that 200-foot riverfront area. So this area here along the street, inside the easement area, which is a town drainage easement, and then up in that street, there's a storm drain right there. You won't be using this area for parking, storage, whatever else might happen with any of the vehicles that come on site with the contractors.
So there wouldn't be any staging there or stockpiling of materials. There might be some contractors parking there to do the work for the day, but as far as like stocking materials over a long term,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't in the plan. But I could put that in writing. I thought that was actually included in the RDA itself. I can get back to you with some more information on that.
It's just that we asked the town to put stones across here, and it's just 5 or 10 feet off the road, and it's okay for parking, but the stones were moved all the way back like 30 feet, 30 or 40 feet. And to me, in this location, it looks like an ideal place to just stockpile stuff if you had to. So I just want it known that that area is not available for it. I'm trying to work with the DPW to drop off some more rocks in this area, but that was my concern.
And there wasn't any plan to do any actual staging there. There will be work in that area, so the contractor will be parking their trucks and stuff. But at the end of the day, the material would be removed, and like I said, the area would be swept.
So on Lowell Street, when they did Lowell Street, and I think they did Plymouth Road, and they did some other roads off of Lowell Street, that was exactly the plan also. But they
Okay.
started to use Plymouth Road, and there was a big pile of spoils right there. They put erosion control on it. I did call Mike Toolhill about it, and it lasted a very long time. So that project was several weeks, and that ended up being their spot to park and to have, have the spoils from anything that didn't get on the truck at the end of the day. So I just realized that, we're going to write this down, but it's all about the contractor and whether
Right.
he's, and to me, I just wanted to note this one spot here because this is an obvious spot that someone might use if they thought they
Just
could.
lost you.
So,
I concur, Chuck. The area between 25 and 57 Cross Street is the area where the road is closest to the resource area. And we need to really watch potential erosion and degradation of vegetation in this area. Another thing I want to point out, and I'd appreciate if Julie would could get us some sort of revised markup, is the setbacks, the 200-foot setbacks, and the buffers are not on the plans.
I'm sorry, I just lost my connection.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I don't know
Yes.
I don't know where, did you miss what I was saying earlier?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stop my video. I'm sorry. My connection isn't that great.
No, that's okay.
okay.
So this probably will help. I'm sorry about that.
Lori, I just want to comment that the area between 25 and 57 Cross Street is closest, is the roadway section that is most close to the wetlands and the 200 riverfront setback. So we're going to be really sensitive to erosion and vegetation damage in that area. So I just want to emphasize that. The second thing I just want to say is the plans that you gave us for this RDA do not have the 200-foot setback or the 100-foot buffer zone line on it.
Right.
So I can look it up roughly on other websites, but it would be super helpful to have the 200-foot setback line around that river.
Yeah, see, when we were anticipating that this was going to be cleared under a negative determination of applicability, so we weren't prepared to have actual plans submitted to the commission. That's why actually none of these resource areas have been delineated per se. We're just using GIS mapping.
Well, I think kind of based on what we've seen before, we're going to we're going to want to see some good controls set up, established, maintained, and followed for this project, especially to protect the resource area. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I think, Laura, you meant that you thought it would be approved under administrative approval. I'm not sure why you wouldn't provide the, if the maps, the jurisdictional setbacks for a note, an RDA or request for a determination of applicability. So I thought you meant for administrative approval. I mean, I think that what I see here is just, this area that's around 56 and 38, and across the street 47. Those are the areas that's the closest, and it's really just one side of the road. And I think it's great that you're using straw wattle. I think that's fine. It is a road project. I'm not concerned about that. I understand cut and cover, but it's just that if I guess you could commit to having something in the contracts. I don't know if that's how you do it, if it goes out to bid at this point, or just get some communication with the the engineer on site to let them know that area, or let them know that area is off limits for anything. I think it's doable. It's a pretty long site, and there's other places to park. What do you think about that?
Is that something that the commission can add in a condition?
Yeah, we sure can. Yeah. I think that if I get a commission member, or a commission member makes that motion for that condition, I can write it in.
So as far as setbacks, the figure that shows the zone A, that's a 200-foot buffer off the Walker Brook.
Do you want a screen share again?
Yeah. So this is 200 feet from Walker Brook. This hatched area and through here.
We're not seeing anything yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Hold on.
Are you talking about the surface water protection zone?
Correct, yeah.
The surface
That's-
water protection zone that I see mapped in front of me does not, it's outside of Walker's Brook.
So are you seeing
It's
my
pink area.
screen?
Yes.
Right.
You see it now, yes.
So this hatched area is 200 feet from Walker's Brook.
Okay, I just don't see a map symbol in there.
It's right here. See it? I highlighted it. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, maybe if I squint, I can.
I'm sorry. Let me see if I can.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't want to.
I confess, when I first read this figure, I mistakenly thought that the area that's actually blue hash marks or whatever, I thought that was unmarked, and I was confused. Yes, no, but that is actually supposed to be more in the symbolism of this figure. That is more marked than the pink area. For what that's worth, Zone A versus Zone C surface water protection areas.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see it now. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. The only other thing I'm concerned about besides this area on Cross Street is the stormwater potential erosion to stormwater basins and that getting flushed into the wetland. So I think that needs to be just checked to make sure we're going to have to stay on top of that stormwater erosion. That's just, I'm just going to comment on that. At this point, is there any other comments on this from Conservation Commission members?
Just had one that I missed. As you are putting down the new pipe, are you removing the old pipe or just leaving it in the ground and putting the new pipe next to it?
It's abandoned in place. So the existing line will remain. It'll just get cut and capped.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chuck, do you have any other questions before I open it up to the public? I was muted, talking to myself here.
Sure. The only thing I was going to ask, and it was to help me kind of fill in the determination, is someone mentioned no work during rain, but that seemed very general. I was wondering if that had kind of like, no work if rain was forecast in the next 3 days, or, that the precipitation was over ½ inch or something like that. Is there something like that?
Yeah, I
Neela?
mean, I guess I should clarify, the contractor will work like if it's drizzling, but if there's excessive rain events with, where they can't safely be within the trench to do the excavation, then they would have to stop work. So, maybe I don't think I was clear on that.
Lori, I
So-
think the question about the rain was from a conservation member. I thought it was Brian. And I don't know if Brian's familiar with a lot of design storms, but we get hit with a lot bigger storms these days. And we got to plan for that. We got to expect it and set up erosion control appropriately.
So I agree with you, Anika. And so this idea that there wouldn't be work during rain, presumably that's if something is forecast. But what about the sudden downpours, for example, that we've been getting? What about the scattered showers? Clearly that could be strong enough that it could cause some kind of an erosion problem. So I would just say I have concerns about it without knowing exactly ways to address it.
Okay. Chuck, any other follow-ups before I open up to the public?
No.
In that case, I'm going to ask if anybody's here from the public, please raise your hand. Undo your camera. Okay, seeing nothing. There've been a couple points that have been brought up that I think we needed to circle back on this. Some points that were brought up tonight, Lori. So I would entertain a motion to continue.
What are those 2 points? If I can just ask a question.
I didn't write them down.
So I had detail of the test station, and then
Yeah.
just some sort of write-up on the rain, when that, how that would be handled, if it could be, I mean, what I heard was it's up to the contractor. But if there could be just something written up, I could add to this determination, would be fine with me.
We could just use some great vague language like an extreme precipitation event
And
that
then the
causes
only,
undue erosion.
then I don't know if you were satisfied with the jurisdictional setbacks or not, but you wanted to see those on the plan.
Now that I know what the 200 foot is, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So,
Can I bring in one or other thought that I missed? If the trench has standing water in it when you dig down, is there a detail for dewatering that will prevent erosion?
Yes, there is a dewatering basin detail in the package. It's a hay bale, straw bale, dewatering basin with Marafi fabric and stone with a discharge hose, which will probably discharge directly to a catch basin.
And Lori, where would that basin be set up?
The contractor would decide where that would be set up, and that is something that I've often seen the commission write a condition stating that the conservation agent would have to approve the location of any dewatering basins. So That's just a standard condition, typical to most
Okay.
National Grid, Boston Gas projects.
Martha, I'm afraid I cut you off. Is there anything else?
No, that was a good follow-up. Thank you. And
Okay.
I like the idea of having the conservation agent approve where the dewatering would be established.
Yep. And Joe, I think I saw.
Yeah, just the one when Chuck was recapping the points to follow up on. We did talk earlier, or actually Chuck talked about the possibility, maybe he pointedly didn't say it because no commissioners have said it yet, the possibility of adding a condition of no staging of vehicles, construction equipment, other materials from the construction in the 200-foot zone around Walker's Brook, which does happen to correspond to Water Protection Zone A.
Yeah.
So yes, I would like to see that condition.
Okay. So at this point, I think we've captured a lot of the bigger picture details, but since we're gonna entertain a motion to continue to fill in some of the data gaps that we've talked about, the detail sheet for the cathodic protection. I just want to see that myself. I just want to see that before approving or voting on this.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's,
So I'll entertain, I mean, I need time to look at it, think about it, review it. So I'll entertain a motion to continue RDA to 2021-9.
I will move to continue RDA 2021-9 to our next meeting on August 25th.
Is there a second?
I second.
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Ryan Bow in favor.
Joe Carnahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. Lori, thank you for joining us. We've continued it to the next meeting in August.
and when do you need the information? A week before? Is that sufficient?
Absolute
Yes.
latest is Thursday before. Don't,
Thursday before.
anything we get after Thursday is gonna have to be pushed to the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, let me back that up one day. Wednesday before is the absolute, because it takes time to, EO end of day on, if you want coming in on the 25th, so the 18th.
Yeah. Are we coming up against Labor Day too? For that?
I don't
Huh?
think so, no.
Oh, no,
No,
it's not.
it's-
Anyway. Okay, thank you, Lori.
thank you.
Thanks, yep.
All right, Chuck, do you want to move on, talk us through some old new business?
So we have Colin McClellan here for 10 Plymouth Road. And I sent an email to Colin during tonight's proceedings. I asked him if he had a planting plan. So maybe we could start with that, and I could unmute Colin and we could see what's going on.
Hello, Colin, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, Colin McKinnon, 10 Plymouth Road. I thought I had sent a plot plan with just marked up near the border with our planting plan. I mean, it involved like shrubs every 4 feet and I think no less than 10 ferns. And it might have been like hay swaddles. Someone had written it up for us. The person who prepared the notice of intent wrote it up for us. Do you want me to resend it now?
Yeah, I'll put it up if you resend it now.
All right, I gotta see if I can get it on my phone.
It wasn't part of the filing, was it?
Not the original filing, no.
Okay, yeah,
Hang
that's all
on,
I'm
I'll see
seeing.
if I can bring it up here. All right, I can probably find it and send it. Hang on.
Hmm.
All right, I'm sending it right now. I apologize. I guess it didn't go through the first time.
Chuck, how's this gonna go? He emails it to you, you share it, or
I was
how's
going to
this?
share it, but it hasn't come through yet. It might be
Okay.
pretty large.
No, it's just one sheet. So it's ctaroni@ci.reading.ma.us.
Yeah.
Colin, do you
Okay.
have an ability to share screen and just from where you are?
Not sure. Hang on. I'm not that good with Zoom, but I'm gonna
Well,
try.
that's okay. We could talk you through it. It's at the bottom.
Okay, let me
I got
see.
it now.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I just got it.
Okay, I can probably do this.
All right.
We'll see who does it first, right?
I hope I do it first. No. Oh, Colin.
Oh, boy. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'll stop it.
You're the man. Oh, I was going to say you're the man, but
Well, I have it
I
up.
can. I have it ready if you do. If you just want to
Yeah, I'm gonna
stop,
stop it. Okay, go for it. Sorry.
right. Just a click away. Could have been.
All right, so, and I do have something. It's just my writing in the top right hand. Chuck had indicated that might be acceptable. There's a lot of garlic mustard in that area, and we're going to clear it out. Plant 4 shrubs of at least 24 inches in height, and 10 ferns in the area, spread native wildflower seeds. And we'd like to be able to do this probably simultaneous with the project or at the end of the project, or if we have to do it sooner, we probably can do it, but.
Can I just get some clarity on exactly which area, like, can you sort of show
So it's the,
what area we're talking about?
it might be like the southeast corner of the property.
Is it this area here?
Yeah, it's that area. So that border area has a lot of vegetation in it, garlic mustard and other. It becomes quite overgrown in the summertime, and the commission last time indicated they thought that there should be some modifications to it to have more native species and less invasive plants, I believe it was.
Okay. So clear garlic mustard, plant 4 shrubs of at least 24 inches. Help me understand. I'm sorry, I hope it's not because it's late. So 4 plants of 24 inches, meaning that that's the finished mature diameter?
I thought it might have been the
Or
height.
the minimum height,
It might have been the height. I'm not sure. I'm not.
sort of the
I could-
purchase height.
Yeah, I could send you what the wetland scientist sent to me, but I believe that's all it says. But if you want, I can send that to Mr. Tyrone right now.
Yeah, I think, Colin, I think, especially because this is just coming in now, we'll do just a preliminary review right now.
Okay.
Send him whatever you can send him.
Okay.
We'll have to consider it, since we're just seeing it tonight, we'll have to consider it and talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay.
But I'm in favor of additional plantings and clearing this stuff out. And I think it's a good place to, it's a good opportunity to have people comment, look at it, think about it right now, make some comments. If people don't have a ton of comments, maybe we can wrap this up relatively quickly, but I'd like to hear from other people about the information. But go ahead, Martha.
I would just like to say, I would like to know what species of shrubs you're planning to put in and what species of fern. And have your wetland scientist recommend to you some appropriate ones for that sunny, wet spot. And I think it's not just garlic mustard that's in there. There were some pretty big vines that had taken over that corner as well. So you might want to clear some of those invasives as well as the garlic mustard.
Okay, yeah, I believe blueberry was suggested. I could ask for more suggestions. Regarding the ferns, I don't remember. I don't think he said, but I mean, I just sent it to Chuck. Putting it here.
Yeah, just that some ferns are better suited to drier conditions and some to wetter conditions. And you want to
Okay.
definitely pick your wet fern. So have your
Yeah, okay, so that's
advisor give you
what I
some
sent him.
high bush blueberry. And it just says, oh, sensitive fern. There you go. Sensitive fern's a good choice. Yeah.
What would the timeline for this landscaping be? When do you recommend I have it done?
Chuck, do you want to answer that?
I would have it done when just after the grading. If there's any kind of cleanup in the back after you've got the addition in. So,
Okay,
and plus we're in a, August is, I would wait to at least the end of August. It seems like that would be timely with your project. So September, October, probably good months to plant. So this is not something you would do right away, but you would probably want to order all your stock right away and have them set it aside. Some of this stuff might get tough to find in September.
okay. Yeah, we would be removing all of the vines and everything in that area, either by hand or if we needed assistance, we would have contractor assist us.
Okay. Chuck, did you have any other questions? Because I'm going to kind of circle back to, we need to get all the data, get all the information, then we'll look at it, then we'll discuss it a little bit further. I heard that we need to know the actual names of the plants, the scientific name of the plants. We also need to specify appropriate spacing so that to ensure longevity of the plantings and address persistence of other invasives that may derail the planting plan. So
Scientific
anything?
names of the plants, longevity of the plants. The third thing I didn't hear, sorry.
Spacing.
appropriate, thank you, appropriate spacing to ensure longevity.
Okay,
Once you spend the money to put these things in the ground, you're going to want it. You're not going to want it to die off. You're going to want it to give it the best possible chance to survive. So to ensure survivability, there's good recommended plant spacing. Give that plant some room to grow. Give it a chance to establish.
okay. All right, so I will try to put that in writing, either myself or I'll have the wetlands person do it, and I'll get it to Chuck as soon as I can. And I guess we'll still be on the agenda for the next meeting, or?
I think so at this point. Are there any other comments or questions from commission members? I didn't go around to everybody, but I haven't heard anybody speak up either.
I sort of have a, I guess, procedural question in terms of what, just making sure I understand what else needs to be decided here. I mean, my one thing I recall from the previous discussion was that the McKinnons were sort of pleasantly surprised that we were asking them to replace the garlic mustard in that area, and so it was good. It made me feel pretty good about the we're all. I didn't have any concern about the plantings being done according to whatever we ended up suggesting. So yes, I want to make sure. Is there anything else that we need to decide or something here? I guess it's just my question for us procedurally. I mean, that we haven't issued the order of conditions yet. I take it that's
Right.
So I don't know if this is kind of your question, but so in the past for planting plans and this type of project, which is, meets all the regulations, 35 feet away, and, doing some invasive removal, sometimes the commission would consider issuing the application and permit and just saying, but the planting plan needs to be reviewed by the Conservation Commission, and just tying that to issuing the certificate of compliance, that we wouldn't issue that unless the plants were in place or the plan has been approved, or depending, we're going to come into the end of the season, these plants could get in the ground. The certificate of compliance usually takes a couple of years. But as I was listening to this project, I don't think this particular planting scheme is mitigation for anything that this applicant is doing, because he's outside of our jurisdictional areas. So this is really just a bonus. And I think, when that's happened before, we've approved the plan and just asked them to come back and talk about the planting at that point, so they can get going with their project.
And we can definitely do that if that is what the commission wants to do tonight. I'm not opposed to that. I just want to emphasize, to future applicants that we need to see and review the information ahead of time in general for applications. We can't get all the data on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I can't review that much. So, but I mean, we can do an exception for the McKinnons if the rest of the Conservation Commission feels that's appropriate, that we can go ahead with the order of conditions and approve the details of the planting plan as part of the process. Kind of not outside of that, but it's not going to hold up the order.
right.
I think
That is basically. Oh, go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think that makes sense. At our last meeting, we thought the project was fine, and we were just adding this possibility of upgrading the plants in the back. So I don't want to hold up their ability to start work on the addition because of the plants. But before they put the plants in, we should have their plan with the spacing details and things like that.
Okay, is there anybody on conservation who's opposed to that idea? No, okay.
And just from my experience, figuring out what's garlic mustard is much easier to do in the spring. So it might be better to actually do the planting in the spring when you can pull the garlic mustard once you can identify it, and then put in your blueberries in the spring and your ferns in the spring. I don't think there's a rush to get the planting done this fall. Anybody else have an opinion on that?
I just think it's just good practice to try to order the stuff and have it set aside whenever you're going to do the planting, so the stock's available.
Okay. So is there a motion then?
We're looking for a motion to issue the order of conditions on for 10 Plymouth Road. That's all right. Then, as we've discussed here, I will move that we issue the order of conditions for Plymouth Road. Is that yes, number 270-0750.
I'll second that.
Martha Moore in favor.
John Sullivan in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor.
Joe Carnahan in favor.
Anika Scanlon in favor. So, Mr. McKinnon, we didn't give you much of an option to chime in on that, but we are going ahead approving the order of conditions.
Thank you.
The details of the planting plan, I'm sure you'll send it to us and get distributed. We'll take a look at that. And Chuck, go ahead.
I think we should ask Colin, Mr. McKinnon to come back to a meeting and just have that down now, whether it's our next meeting or the following meeting, but to present the plan and just keep this kind of moving.
Is that okay, Mr. McKinnon? Is that possible?
Yes. 25th?
25th, do you think you can get everything ready for the 25th?
Yeah, so just a more detailed plan with what we talked about, scientific names.
Maybe
space
some location, yeah, just draw it out.
Okay. All right, yeah, I can do that. If I have any questions, I'll contact you.
Yeah, and you can ask us questions during the next meeting too.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, next.
So, so next is just running down the line. Willow Street was issued, and Jim Castellano. I think the chair might want to give an update on that.
Okay.
So we'll stop at that
Sure.
point.
I'll give an update. I missed the last meeting. Sorry, I missed it. But as you've probably seen, Chuck has distributed an email we received from Mr. Castellano. Because of Mr. Castellano's emails with his grievances about how he's being treated by conservation, there was a meeting on July 26th that I attended. It was just me and Chuck and some members of Town Hall, Julie, Jean Delios, Bob LeLacheur, and we had a chance to discuss 1503 Main Street. Bob LeLacheur acknowledged that this particular applicant definitely sounded upset, felt like he was grieved and treated unfairly. But Bob also mentioned this is conservation's work, so he's not gonna try to meddle with it or change it. So I also mentioned at the meeting that that when Chuck was acting, when Chuck went to site visits and when he was doing things outside of these public meetings, he was acting on items that we discussed in public meetings and that we voted on in public meetings, and under unanimous votes, even from people who have left conservation. There was still a unanimous decision by the whole board to take action and direct Chuck the way he had proceeded. So I wanted to make sure the town government, people running the town understood that Chuck was not acting ad hoc that he had been directed by conservation under a public vote to follow up and try to get buy-in and compliance with some of the requirements we have already voted on and agreed to. So that's about it.
Well, moving forward, we got a letter that Jim is saying that, you know, there's a Mike Flynn plan out there where Mike mocked up a couple of areas. And that's another point that you wanted to, you know, or that needs to be talked about, because it seems like the commission is saying that those entire areas need to be planted. I sent an email that said, we reviewed your plan, the commission modified your plan. We've asked you to put in this number of plants, this number of shrubs, and this number of herbaceous material. And then we did he said, oh, plants are in, come out and check it out. So we went out and checked it out, and all the plants were kind of packed together. And if you look at nurseryman standards, that the separation for native, you know, maple trees should be 25, 30 feet. These things were more like 10 feet apart. So we just noted that, and we noted some erosion, and we noted that some additional trees on the other side of the house were too close together. And I just wrote all those up and then sent it to Jim and said, you know, this is what's left. As soon as this gets done, you know, we can issue a certificate of compliance. And I think Jim has just, you know, kept writing back and saying that he's done the work and that things don't need to be moved around. And he has his, he had his arborist, who's also a horticulturist, check out the area. And I asked Jim to send the letter that he said that was written, but I didn't receive a letter. I didn't receive it in the first email, but he sent some pictures also, and the commission's reviewed those pictures. But it, you know, spacing of trees makes sense for, you know, survivability. And you know, I guess I just didn't understand, and maybe the letter would help from the arborist and horticulturist to help explain that. But I did want to bring up those other points, and I don't know if Anika wants to step back in with that.
Sure. Yeah, basically I see that there's, at a minimum, there seems to be the three high points that, at a minimum, there's three areas where the order of conditions is not met. It's that spacing, the concern to ensure survivability, the herbaceous cover. We really don't have a way to verify that what was required on the plan that Mike Flynn prepared and we voted on in a public meeting and discussed and voted on in a public meeting and then sent to him. It's just that Mike marked it up with comments of what needed to be planted where. We don't have the surety or the evidence that those herbaceous plantings were actually done. And there's also areas in the original order of conditions plan where plantings were supposed to be done, like for example, between the stormwater basin and the wetlands to the east between the two houses, where plantings were supposed to be done and they haven't been done. So that's just the three biggest things. There might be other things in the order of conditions. There might be other requirements, other details that also have to be met to wrap this up. I welcome Mr. Castellano's feedback to hear what he's going to do to address these items, when he's going to do it, and how he's going to do it. So I'd like to hear what's going to happen next. And my thought is we've been kind of going through this for a number of months. And we may or may not be making progress on it. I just want to open up the topic that if we do not see progress on advancing towards this, and instead, we don't get progress, but we still hear about it. Maybe it's time to finally codify all of these issues into an enforcement order, especially for the location where plantings were cut and they weren't supposed to be. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just throwing that out there. I'd like to hear what other Conservation Commission members think about that. We need a way to proceed so that these projects get closed. And just trying to be clear about what we can do next. So I'll open it up to Martha. Do you have any comments or questions or anything to add?
Sure. In terms of evidence of what's been planted, perhaps a copy of the invoice that shows how many herbaceous plugs were planted would be helpful. And perhaps also what variety of red maples were planted, because of wanting to have, if they're native red maple, they need to have plenty of room to grow. And I also am looking at the original planting plan where it showed which trees were going to be removed and which replacement trees were going to be planted. And it shows 4 trees on the far side of that driveway, on the south side of the driveway, and 1 tree on the north side of that driveway that I don't recall seeing planted at all. And we've been worrying about the ones up against the wetland, but I don't know, are those replacement trees in our jurisdiction as well, or are those trees along the roadway CPDC's jurisdiction?
If it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone, it's not within our jurisdiction, but this is not a, it's a subdivision, but I'm unsure of, I know that CPDC asked for a tree count, but I'm not sure why, because they don't require, I'm not sure they require trees to be planted. So it's just the Conservation Commission. We should only concentrate on the work under our jurisdiction, which is in the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay, and it looks like those trees just south of the driveway are pretty much right at the 100-foot line, just a little bit outside it. So, okay, thank you. That answers that.
Okay, thank you, Martha. John, do you have any comments or questions?
I guess I kind of a process question. If we move to an enforcement order, how is that different than, because currently they can't get a certificate of occupancy for the house, is that right? Because of these issues that aren't being resolved? Do I understand that right?
No, the occupancy was issued.
Okay.
And right now we're just trying to, so they probably couldn't get a certificate of compliance because all the conditions in the order of conditions for Lot B haven't been met. So that's still hanging out there. Now, Lot A is a different story, but Lot B, there's the area that was covered by the order of conditions. And then there's that, unauthorized clear cutting, and altering of the resource area that Jim Castellano of Armor Development did. So that part could have been an enforcement order, but I just feel like, every time Jim came in, He was willing to work with the commission, and he did some work, and we were on the brink several times of issuing an enforcement order, but we never did because the applicant was doing work and moving forward. And I think that's something. So that makes sense to just hold off. But at this point, there's been several emails where Jim is just stating that all the planting is done. He's overlooking that the spacing and the counts and the fact that most importantly, we wanted him to recreate the habitat that was lost. And that's not represented out there. I think that, a site visit would be great to finally get this done. The suggestion was to spread out the trees that he had planted, and that would work. He has the quantities there, but they're not in the right spots. So what does an enforcement order do? It puts the control in the conservation's hands. It's not appealable by DEP, and it allows the commission to ask for things and put dates and time limits on them, and can take care of the project. And when something isn't, when something's not completed in the specified time, it's a violation, and it adds up to a process of doing a fine. And then fining can be on top of that, or, at the far end, it could go to court. But right now, we're just working with him. So it's, we're just hoping he'll call. We're just hoping this will get done. And the enforcement order, you can just put time limits on it.
Right, and he's been invited to come and present at the last several, 2 or 3 meetings.
He was invited today. His email sounded like he would, some interpreted it as he was going to come here tonight and talk about the letter from his arborist and horticulturist, and show us the pictures, and so then I followed that up with an email, sending that back to him, asking him that we didn't receive that attachment, and that the Conservation Commission would like to talk to him for 5 minutes tonight. And I told him where the Zoom invitation is on the town calendar. So he was invited today.
Okay. I think then it should be made clear to Mr. Castellano that we need him to come and kind of explain what's going on there. And if that's not feasible, then I would support moving forward with an enforcement order.
Yeah, probably with more time.
Mhm.
Just give him some more time. It sounded like it was his suggestion. That's how the email was interpreted, but we followed up with an actual invite.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's summertime and sometimes people's schedules are a little bit hectic, but if he can't make it to one of these, you should suggest a better time to do it. And yeah.
Anything else, John?
I think that's it.
Okay, how about you, Brian?
I do have some thoughts. So the first is that I recognize that this chain of events started before Joe and I joined the commission. So I recognize the fact that there's been some progress, that he's been willing to make some accommodations, what have you, before this. I do like the idea of a site visit, assuming that he himself is there so it can be very clear. At this point, there seems to be a lot of living in some vague terms. So if in fact it was exactly clear what needed to be done, that might in fact be enough to bring it to closure. I understand the urge to go to enforcement order. I do like the idea of having deadlines, what have you set up. That does, by definition, bring it to a head one way or another. I do want to caution, I assume that we'd be very careful about ever backing off an enforcement order once it was issued. And so we should think twice about actually going forward with that issuing of an enforcement order. I also think, I'm not familiar with the format of an enforcement order, but I think if it does get to that point, we should be very clear that there are really clear details, nailing everything that needs to be done. So there's no more vague defenses of I've done the plantings, when we know in this case, it wasn't even the number of trees, it was the placement of the trees. It wasn't necessarily the number of shrubs, it was the placement of them. So if we're going to go to an enforcement order, really, really clear instructions to finish. That's my thoughts.
I think I'm next in line. I'll go ahead, and you don't even have to unmute. So yes, I might be the only one of us who hasn't been to any of the site visits because I was not able to attend the site visit on July 13th. And yes, I'm pretty sure it was July 13th for the record, based on looking at my email. So I certainly would love to see this, although I'm also have, full confidence in the other 5 views' ability to, tell whether trees are 15 feet apart or 25 feet apart. That doesn't seem terribly subjective to me. I do like the idea of, if possible, of doing a site visit with Jim there, so that, because it does seem like we're having some trouble communicating. And it does seem like if I'm standing in the spot where there's supposed to be plantings, there's no plantings, and I'm literally standing there talking to Jim, that does seem like that would be the most likely communication to succeed. Certainly, if that doesn't work, it does seem like enforcement order would be where we'd be left. So that's, and I mean, likewise, if Jim doesn't want to talk to us, doesn't want to come to any further meetings, doesn't, just keeps sending emails to the town manager, and that's the only action, then yeah, again, we'd be, I think, stuck with an enforcement order.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, Chuck, it sounds like there is some interest in trying to extend an invitation and set up another site visit. Why don't we, schedules considering, I don't know when everybody's on vacation the rest of this month, but why don't we try to set one up? If you can try to arrange that between.
Yeah, I'll ask him for at least 3 dates, and it seems like with the group that's here tonight, it's early in the morning, like 8:30. That works. So that's what I'll say.
And if you can let Mr. Castellano know that we had this discussion, and you're good at summarizing these things, if you can just sort of relay to him what people's opinions were and what we'd like to see. And we look forward to seeing him wrap this up.
One more comment, if I may. Mr. Castellano seems to have made a big, he seems to keep making a big point of the fact that a couple of us are new on the commission. I'm more than happy to, well, first having, site visit myself will sort of help settle that in terms of, I will have seen the same thing that the, previous commission members have seen. And also, but yes, I don't, let me put it this way. I don't think the fact that Brian and I are new here should interfere with, complying with the conditions that were already set out.
Okay. And I know, Joe and Brian, you guys have already, on a number of occasions gone back and watched previous meetings. At this point, there are so many previous meetings on this particular matter. I would not recommend that you do that right now. I think Chuck is or has sent around the appropriate documentation, like listing out what we've voted on and asked him to comply with. And that's really all we need to pay attention to, is looking at what we've voted and requested and voted and approved in a public meeting. And how does that, what we've requested, match what's actually happened so far? Go ahead,
I
John.
do actually have to say, I don't think an actual plan, the actual approved plan that you've been referring to, I guess, I don't think that has actually been sent out. I've seen it presented in at least one meeting, maybe two at this point. But
Okay,
if that could be, and I didn't see it on the list of current projects either. I guess, I don't know if this is a current project per se. But yeah, so if that could get shared either via the Conservation Division website or just over email, I'd appreciate getting to see that.
And I think
Okay.
just to recap, I think what we have is we have the original planting plan from the order of conditions, the original proposed final plan that includes the planting and the infiltration and the wall and what was going to actually happen. And then also the planting plan that we came up with during the meeting for the area that was cut in January. So the proposed restoration plan for that area. Those are the two things, really. Is that correct, Chuck? Do I have that right?
So Mike used the approved plan to modify it and then send back to Mr. Castellano. So the plan I'm going to send out or put up on the website is the approved plan with the spacing that was talked about tonight, and the modifications that the commission agreed to at, it's in an email. I forgot what meeting it was at, but
April, May, I don't know.
yeah. So,
Okay,
so you have both at that point. I guess I could upload the order of conditions also for Lot B.
I'm not sure that needs to be on the public website. However, it needs to be distributed to the Conservation Commission.
Sure.
There might be some sensitive, I don't know, there might be some property information in there that the current property owners don't want distributed as public information.
Well, the order of condition is recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and anyone can look up anything at the Registry of Deeds. So
It's
this is not
no
this is
small feat to look it up.
That's public information. But I hear what you're saying. I'll just distribute it to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, I've searched the Registry of Deeds website. It's fun search, fun.
You have to do it 3 times a day to really enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else on this? Otherwise, I say let's move on with the agenda. Try to beat Martha's record.
Sure. So this next item, Michael Rivers over at 443 Pearl Street, that's being pushed off until September 8th. The consulting firm didn't get their plans and information completed, so we'll see that instead of on the 25th, the first meeting in April. The regulations are not going to be discussed tonight because I haven't heard from town council on our revisions, and the Veteran Way and straight through the rest of them, noting that we've already picked Martha for the September 7th DPW meeting, are all on hold, waiting for the applicants on those COC requests to contact us, telling us that they're completed with the to-do list that we gave them. And no correspondence, no emergency permits. I'd like to put on a site visit, if not at this next site visit, one in the very next one, to get 14 Dean Road looked at and Perfectos looked at. I think those two can be moved off our enforcement orders, and we could, if they look, that they're in substantially good shape and in compliance with the enforcement order, that we could take them off the list and, suspend the enforcement.
Okay, I just
Right.
want to remind you, Chuck, to the newer members especially, when those site visits get scheduled, make sure you email out to everybody just what the enforcement order is, and hopefully it has a plan or something adequately described so that they can go there with that document and know what to check.
So that's generally what I try to do. If I've missed anything, I've heard a couple people saying, "Oh, I thought it was up," something like that. Please email me if I've missed something. And I can either put it on the website or send it back to you. But I should, just kind of put two and two together and realize that the enforcement order is probably a good thing to have if we're going to go out and check these sites. We did the minutes. I heard Joe say that we were at 1503 on July 13th. Well, that's not exactly 6/23/2021. So I still think we're unsure of what we were talking about. So I guess hold up on the minutes, review the video and see if we can, approve them at the next meeting. And the last thing I have is just to remind Carl, who's not here, and Anika Scanlon to come in and sign the deed for S&L Homes on the Lynetta Lane. It's in
Maybe
the
after
pickup.
this, maybe I can just drive over now, Chuck.
All right. You better be quick.
I know. I get it.
Fiati.
No, I'm kidding. Tomorrow. I'll stop by tomorrow. And
That's
Carl
it.
said he would too.
Unless members have other things to bring up.
Well, let me just mention John Sullivan is still present.
Mhm.
Is there a particular? Oh, sorry, John. I was thinking Jack. I'm sorry, John.
Not Jack Sullivan.
I'm sorry. It's late. See.
Every now
Okay.
and then somebody calls on Jack Sullivan. And I'm like, wait, what? That was me. But no.
I'm sorry, John. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about or just mention briefly?
Oh. Yeah. It is late. But
It
I
is. Nothing?
So-
I don't know.
And now I want to know if Jack Sullivan's real first name is actually John.
It is.
but I might have guessed.
That's right. John the Third.
Thank goodness he doesn't go by John Sullivan, or these meetings would be even more confusing.
I would be lost.
There's really nothing. It's just a lot of stuff we can talk about at the next DPW meeting. There's a planting plan that I worked out with Jeff Cummings to start mowing and trimming back some stuff at Matera Cabin.
Okay.
We'll talk about it at the DPW meeting, and then if it needs to, we'll bring it to the Conservation Commission. But it's not something that really needs to be approved because we're talking about mowing lawns.
So between now and the next meeting, are there any like really intense site visits that are additionally scheduled? Because I mean, I just want to say kudos to the new members, everybody, Martha, John, everybody who's been able to get out and put in extra effort to get out to these site visits and put in lots of additional hours. Thank you.
So the only
Not
thing,
to mention a couple bee stings in Brian's case.
yeah, Brian.
No.
nice.
We honor your sacrifice.
No, I'm sorry.
And I'll just say to Brian and Joe, we don't normally have this many lines to walk for wetland flags. So, we've had to do a lot of these. We probably will not keep it up.
We'll see. We'll see.
The additions to people's houses are a lot easier site visits.
Yeah, so it's just it's It's just 259, 267 Main Street that didn't want to be on this agenda, and they'll be on the next agenda. But I didn't receive a plan, I didn't receive a narrative, and, you know, obviously they have until, it should be this week, but since we've already discussed it, it can be next Wednesday to get that stuff into us. But it's been moved up to amended order of conditions, so I guess everybody wants to, you know, get their heads around that project and start thinking about some questions about the parking area and the detention area and what value was lost with this transition, if any.
Okay. Okay, so more to come. Do I hear a motion? If there's nothing else, speak now. Do hear a
I
motion?
move to adjourn even earlier than last time.
I'll second that emotion.
All right,
All
all in
right.
favor? Yep. Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
Right.
everyone.
Thanks all. Good night.
Night.